Bright and early, we got a good crowd, 10:45. Welcome to Expo 2024. I'm RJ Samala, product manager for Pallmann. This is my German colleague, Michael Garbe. He's over here to, since we have microphones this year, he's going to do most of the work and I'm going to do most of the talking. So we're here we're going to be the first ones today talking about what's going to be a big topic this year at Expo is alternative stains. We're starting to see the industry switch away from the traditional solvent-based stains for several reasons. We've been working on this for a long time. We introduced this last year as well. We're very impressed with it. And so we wanted to show it again. But everything in our industry, I've been doing this for 32 years, and everything in our industry has gotten cleaner, better, faster, dries faster, smells less, all of those things. Stains have not. We've been using the same solvent-based 350 VOC stains since I started in 1991. And we've gotten away with it. We've worked with it for a long time. That VOC count was our main push for making a new product. So we've got a bunch of colors you'll recognize, but we're in a 5 VOC product with a guaranteed coat over time. So Michael, if you want to start mixing it up, we are a 2-component product. We're going to use Jacobian or Jacobine. We will take a pool on how you say that stain name at some point, because I don't honestly know. So we come in a kit like this with a leader. Our leader is going to do 300 to 500 square feet. We've been very, very consistent at 400 square feet on a water-popped oak. This is a white oak that we water-popped earlier, and it is a 2-component product. We added a secondary drying agent so that we could guarantee a coat over time. So all of the browns are coatable at 5 hours. All of the whites are 12 hours for their coat over time. This is now a stain and a sealer in one can. So we're going 2 coats of finish on top of this. There's no sealer. Pallmann has always been a very sealer-centric company. We've always really felt the importance of a waterborne sealer. This is now our best sealer in our line. We have some really, really good water-based sealers. So this is our best sealer in our line. So we're kind of changing to where we're going to do this. We're going to let this dry and we're going to go 2 coats over the top of it. So comes in a kit like that with the leader, the hardener, and every one comes with a mixing cup. And this is going to mix at a 5-to-1 ratio. Pot life once mixed is going to be about 2 hours. So on large jobs, batch your component A together, pour that out as necessary to work with. You'll see the forgiveness factor of it here. Stopping in the middle of a room to have a cigarette break, mix another liter of product. Absolutely no issue with this product. You're going to see some forgiveness stuff that is very, very impressive. So, you got that, Michael? Okay, good. So pop the can open. We're going to stir component A. That goes out into the mixing cup, and you can scale this for different square footages at a 5-to-1 ratio. And then we'll dry that from there. So again, kind of some of the things that we were looking for in a new stain when we started developing this was, go ahead and start mixing it so we can get it spread. We were looking for a safer product, VOC-wise. We were looking for something that's safe for the contractors to be in. So we're 5 VOCs. This is a natural oil product. It is a water-compatible oil. It is skin contact safe, so it will not absorb through your skin, and it's respiratory safe at 5 VOCs. We wanted a dependable coating time, so we added a secondary polyisocyanate as our drying agent, and we wanted the right coloring. America has a very distinct set of colors that have been around for a very long time, and some of these versions, our colors were too opaque. They looked a little bit too much like paint. So we went back to the drawing board again. But that was, some of the criteria. Ultimately, we want it to be easy to use. Pallmann's main claim to fame is extremely forgiving water-based products. So it had to be easy to use to match into our system. Had to be forgiving. And the bonus part of it was that we're going to eliminate a coat. So we're going to seal this, come back after it's dry, place 2 coats of finish on top of that, and that floor is then at that point done.
Okay, you said I could put oil or water over top?
I said nothing of the sort. In the end, at this point, we have not found anything we are not compatible with. Do we want you to put Pallmann finish on top of it? Yeah. Put Pallmann finish on top of it. You're in system 100%. That way, you're only making one phone call. We get a lot of phone calls about, hey, why did your finish turn white in the line? The finish had nothing to do with it. The solvent was drying and it turned the finish white. You hardly ever call Bona or Duracell about that. We get that phone call because we're the finish manufacturers, the finish that turned white. So, couple different ways, the other ease of application. So, a couple of things we wanted was a product that's raggable. So you can rag this product on, you can rag it off. The Germans, they really like troweling. So we wanted a product that you could trowel on and buff off. You can buff it on and buff it off. You can use carpet rounds to buff it on and off. Literally haven't found a way that we couldn't do it yet. It is the most forgiving product that I've ever been around. And so this has proven to be probably the fastest way to go about this process is a trowel on, buff off. But again, we don't necessarily require that you change your system for how you stain, where you're going to stain it. And so, like I say, Michael's going to get a little reorganized here so that he can kind of show a couple other aspects of it. But that's the starting point. Mixed together, again, in volume. We've got 2 hours to work with that liter of product there. Once it's on the floor, there is no timing ratio to this. A lot of the penetrating oils, ours included, it has to sit for 10 to 20 minutes before you take it off. This can be taken off immediately, or this can be, it can be let sit for 45 minutes to an hour before you buff it off.
What's the working time once you catalyze the product? How long do you have?
Yeah. So the question was working time with the product once it's been catalyzed, once the secondary component's in it, and that's 2 hours. So in that volume, in that container, it's 2 hours. You've got, once it's on the floor, you're now extending that again. So just in volume, if you get it on the floor, now you're out to another hour or more of working.
Working your edges, you prefer going same technique as what you normally do, or what do you want to do?
So the question was the edges. So I've done it multiple different ways. I've cut in an entire house first. So it's crawled around, brush or rag, by hand around the entire edge of the house first. Then came back and did the field. We've done it where here, you go back out in the wet stain and you do the edges. Either way, it's so forgiving, it doesn't make a ton of difference. But the edges are going to be treated with a brush or a small putty knife and a rag. But you can, I mean, literally 800 square feet. I've done all the perimeters first.
No halo.
No halo at all. And then came back and ragged it off. Yep. And then as you're buffing it, of course, if the floor's over wet, you might have to touch the edge again, because if you just push a little bit too much wet stain. But as far as diffusiveness and blending together, it will blend 100%. I've been able to blend hard cross lines at 45 minutes. I wouldn't suggest doing that on the job site, but it does work.
What's the shelf life if I use half a liter and I do not catalyze the other half a liter?
Okay.
What's the shelf life?
So question was concerning shelf life. So an open liter, if you mix half the liter, shelf life is then on the clock. Because anytime you, especially with the isocyanate, anytime you open an isocyanate, it's going to start to activate a little bit. So your shelf life, you can kind of cut it in half. So if that product was going to expire, I would say safely stored, not hot and cold, you've got another month to work with it, no problem. The oil itself, and that you can buy the hardener separately, the oil itself will go another, until it doesn't incorporate with itself, that could be 2 to 3 years. So component A, a half open jug, you could stir it and recatalyze it with a new hardener. The hardener is more sensitive to shelf life. For sampling this product on a floor, so this is pretty much the color you're going to see. You've seen a lot of the solvent-based stains that they kind of wash out and they come back to life with the finish on them. This one's going to look pretty, other than sheen, it's going to look pretty similar to what it looks like coated or uncoated. But for pure ease of sampling, we prefer that you harden your sample at a 5-to-1 ratio, let that dry and put finish on top of it so you get the true finished look of the product. And so again, Michael's gonna, I mean, he did walk all over the raw wood, which, you know, well, he's a German, so he knows what he's doing. So I will say that, okay? Because the Germans, I've learned, plus he's much taller than I am. Germans are never wrong about anything if you ask them. So we'll trust that this is all going to work out with Michael. No, in all honesty, I contracted for 25 years before moving over to this side. This is by far and away the easiest product I've ever seen to work with. I haven't encountered anything like it so far. Come by the booth. We've got some great reference projects to talk about. So in the end, get it on the floor. I spent about 2 weeks writing instructions for the website, the product data sheet, and all those things. I look back now, and I could have just been like, mix it up. Sometime in the next 2 hours, get that on the floor. Sometimes in 2 hours following that, take it back off. Any way you want to do it. That's really all you have to do. We've got ways we can teach you to be faster, more efficient, stuff like that. But in the end, the forgiveness side is if you don't miss a spot, it's going to work. So now at this point, once so spread it out a little bit, it's going to move it around evenly. If you are ragging this, you can certainly work in a traditional 3-foot stripe, rag it on, rag it off at the exact same time, move across the room like that. You can walk around in it, you can do this. If you're buffing it, this is the method we found to be the fastest, is to get it on the floor, red pat it around, leave a little bit of swirl, a little bit of sling, and then we're going to come back, wipe our edges, and do the middle of the floor with a white pad. That's what we found to be the fastest. Myself, buffing on a competitor stain for a lot of years, I just white patted on and off at the same time. Never stepped back into the wet stain. That's how I learned how to do it. And I've done that with this. I will say it is slower to do it that way. Slower is not always worse, but the question we get from a lot of contractors is, hey, how can we gain some speed and some time? So let's, with that, and while Michael's wiping down the edges here, let's talk about expense. So this leader is going to look expensive on the shelf, comparatively speaking. We can show you the square footage numbers. This is cheaper than a traditional system. These are going to go retail $75 in that range somewhere, 400 square feet, but we're only going 2 coats of finish on top of it. So long run, square footage wise, this is less expensive than a traditional system, and that's not factoring in the time savings because we are cutting out a whole coat. Have several contractors back home that have been working with this for about 3 years now through the testing phase, and they are physically applying the stain, come back in the morning, put a coat of finish down, come back that afternoon, check for any debris in the floor, second coat of finish, no intercoat abrasion, and go home. Job's done. That's a very standard system now for guys that have been using this for a while. So now Michael's going to put on the white pad. So the only mistake that we can make here is you either leave the house and don't come back, or you leave excess oil on the floor. You cannot over buff it. You cannot take off extra product where you would have a blushing or a fade through issue. So really the only mistake you can make here is leaving a little bit of excess product on the floor, which would be unsightly and might not dry appropriately. But if you just physically this easily take it all back off, that's really all that's left to do. And then we'll let this sit for the 5 hours. We would coat it. So again, come by the booth. We're 2128, all the way on the other side of this huge hall. And like I say, we can kind of talk about the dollars and cents of it. Again, this is the Jacobin color, so kind of traditional, what you would be used to seeing. The color for me, the first couple of our colors were a little bit too opaque. This does have that nice hard grain, soft grain, lively appearance that we've become accustomed to here in the States. So buff it like that, and now we've got this little area here. It is very important, anytime you're buffing anything, a large walk-off area is important, whether it's a penetrating oil, a stain like this that you're going to be stepping in. A large walk-off mat is important. I carry a 6x6 tarp, and I put that down. The question we don't like to get is, hey, how do you get this stuff off of Mrs. Jones's front porch? Yeah, it's a penetrating product. It's not coming off the concrete. So,
does this work well for pine softwoods too?
So, question was about softwoods and pine. So, 2 sides to that. Yes, it works exceptionally well. The coloring is much more even because of the viscosity and the build of it. It will color that floor more even. You won't get a lot of that sappy. It won't take it away 100%, but it will take away a lot of the sappy blotchiness. Same is true on the hard grain species. On maple, it's the most even product I've ever seen, because typically maple has that really disjointed blotchiness to it. It's very, very even. Again, because of the viscosity of it and the build of it, it will cover that much more evenly. So we've done both a hickory and a maple floor with our ebony, which in a traditional stains I wouldn't like the look of it. And they were beautiful. I'm not a black floor fan, but they were very beautiful. So both hard and soft grain, it's because of the different penetrating aspect, they work really, really well.
Bucket down in between the first coat and the second coat.
For the finishes?
Yeah, for the first
So question was intercoat abrasion between the coats. So Pallmann side, we're going to be 180 or coarser on between our two coats of finish. So this would go down. This does not get buffed again. This is done. Finish on top of this. Let that dry. Red or yellow sand dollar, 180 grit screen back or paper. Any of the abrasions, any of the finishes in the building, make sure you're swapping out any of those papers pretty regularly. Because you go 200 square feet with 180 grit, it's not doing anything anymore after 100 square feet. So they need to be swapped out continuously. All these new waterborne finishes get very hard very fast. And so the abrasion from here to here is going to diminish. So if you can do it without abrasion, that's been a really, really good system. I didn't think it was possible. I came from an oil modified background where the product is sitting open and wet for 12 hours. It's going to get debris in it. If you're a clean house, put it down, come back, little hand abrasion for wherever any debris you find, and coat it within 24 hours. It's a really good system. And it gives you the opportunity. I'm out of Colorado, so we see some wood swelling when we stain, and the idea of buffing off the peaks is a very real thing that happens to us. That's one way to avoid it. There was one thing that we were nervous about here. Traditional system, we would rely on a competitor stain, put a coat of sealer down, and a coat of finish. So we were dealing with a good mill thickness to abrade to. Now we're just a single coat over this, so the mill thickness is different. Still completely abradable, but it's a great question. It's kind of my passion project is abrasion and what really needs to be done in between a floor. So I appreciate that you're paying attention to that, because it's a very important factor to get all of these finishes to work now. So, so I don't know how long we're supposed to be up here, but
you might tell them about the water popping. They don't have to be, you don't have to leave for drying out.
Yeah. Okay. So the question was concerning water popping, and so a couple of reasons, couple things. Water popping is a neutral grain preparation. I don't care how good you are, your equipment is. The abrasives change as you move, so you can't sand a floor exactly the same. Water popping is a very neutral grain preparation, and I did kind of skip over it real quickly, so I apologize and thank you for reminding me. This is water compatible, so this floor does not need to be 100% dry. This can actually have some wet spots in it, and this product will work without exception. I've poured puddles of water this large and buffed through them, and it completely takes it away. It is water compatible. That is also very beneficial on the other side in coating over this. There's a couple gaps in this floor. I promise you the product's not going to be dry inside of there in 5 hours. No product's going to be dry inside that gap in 5 hours. It's not possible. This cannot affect the water above it. The worst thing that can happen is that the water will squeeze some out and you'll get a little bit of bleed back that you'll have to wipe off. That's the only thing that can happen. Otherwise, it has no ability to turn the finish white. It can't do it. It's not possible. So if you coated this right now, you would move pigment and you would have an adhesion issue. But at 5 hours, we can't chemically affect the finish, so it is completely water compatible. And that's just it's a tremendous advantage with this product, in this new phase of alternative stains you're going to be seeing today and tomorrow. I encourage you to come back, take a look at the bonus system. They're after us. They've got a product called Chroma that they're kind of launching. It's a different version. In the end, lower, safer VOC, skin contact safe, all those things are good for the industry. And I've been doing this for a long time, and it's literally what I care about is safety for the contractor. I think we've got a product that has checked every box that I can think of. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, and like I say, come back, check out the booth 2128. talk to us about any of the waterborne finishes or grab me about any questions with this. So, first demo theater 2024, y'all year of alternative stains. So thank you guys.